doubling up on our content here. We got Instagram content over here and YouTube content over there. So I'm going to be on here answering questions for today. Do you need a slingshot for your 30-day bench cycle? Yeah, you know, for the Stronger in 30 Days program that is on my website. It's on MBSlingshot.com. It is recommended that you utilize a slingshot. I just think that you should have a slingshot anyway. I think that everybody should have a slingshot. It should be in everybody's gym bag across the globe. So grab yourself a slingshot. But, you know, also to answer your question a little deeper, you don't necessarily need a slingshot to be strong, right? I mean, a lot of people have been strong without them in the past. Do you really get lean fast on a carnivore diet? I can't think of another diet that you could go on where you don't have to count calories and you don't have to weigh your food that would get you leaner any faster than a carnivore style diet. Just eating meat, just eating protein and fat will get you lean very, very quick. It will help you lose weight fast, and you'll see that, you know, just look through the comments on some of the posts that I put up about Carnivore Month, World Carnivore Month, and you'll see there's been, you know, people saying I lost 10 pounds, I lost 15 pounds, I lost 20 pounds. Some people have lost 30 pounds in 30 days. That's really absolutely crazy. But, you know, trying to lose weight fast isn't necessarily a good thing, and it's not necessarily a good idea. So while it can be very strong towards helping you to lose weight, I think sometimes if we lose weight too fast, we may be depriving ourselves too much. And if you lose weight really fast and you deprive yourself too much, your fat cells will go like this. They'll go, and then as soon as you go to eat and you go back to some of your bad habits, everything will go. So you want to be a little bit careful, a little bit cautious with that. Let's see what we got here. What do you think about alkaline water? I don't think much of it. I don't think things like that I think that that's just too. It's too much. It's too much to start to get way into all the different water that we drink. Try to get filtered water when you can. Try to get the purest, cleanest water that you can. You know, I have heard that like a Brita, those things work really well. You can get them at like Target. They're inexpensive. You can get them off of Amazon. Those things are supposed to be pretty effective. Supposed to work really well. Is a calorie deficit required to lose fat, even on a carnivore diet? So what is said about this is that a reduction in body weight is supposedly, by definition, a calorie deficit. It means that you have an energy like imbalance. You have a deficit of energy. You're expending more energy than you're taking in. However, I don't think that helps anybody, and I don't think that that's effective. I don't think it's a good idea to waste your time weighing food. I don't think it has some application. There are things that you can learn through doing that, and if you wanted to step on stage for a bodybuilding show, it might be effective to know every little nutrient that you put in your body. But other than that, I think it's a ridiculous practice that I don't really know why someone would do it other than they're just neurotic. You know, when people started counting their calories, and even when people started being aware of calories, and as soon as people started to like weigh their food, we've had fatter and fatter and fatter people over a long period of time. Our ancestors didn't weigh their food, and they had no weight problems at all. They had very little disease. They didn't have diabetes. They didn't have asthma. They didn't have autism. They didn't have all these things that are around today. And if they did, it was a very, very minor amount of these things. So something to consider. Obviously, like weighing your food didn't cause any of those things, but it's certainly not helping against any of those things. And if it is helping against any of those things, I'd love for someone to explain how, because it doesn't seem like it's working. Which training philosophy or program would you recommend to a 16, 17-year-old person? I rarely recommend anything different for anybody. I think we can all train in a very similar fashion. Training is training, and we need good, tough resistance training. One of the things with training is that you just need a good, strong stimulus, and so you might need a different stimulus at different times. But your training, your age won't matter so much, but your training age might be more important. So if you've been lifting for 5 years as opposed to only lifting for 1 year, that might be a bigger deal. But If you're a young kid, you know, and you're just getting into lifting, if you're just getting started, if that was the question, if that's what you're gearing it towards, then you want to learn the right way, and you want to learn with bent over rows, military presses, bench presses, squats, deadlifts. You want to know how to do a box squat. You want to know how to do a good morning. You want to learn how to properly bench press. You want to learn how to do these movements. You want to use a lot of barbell exercises as well. The machines are good, but the machines are a peripheral thing, and those are things that you should be doing kind of like more like on the side, or you do them after a workout, or you do them when you're just like kind of tired and don't really feel like working out that hard. How often do people poop on the carnivore diet once transitioned? I don't know. You know, I go like once a day, but the way that I used to eat, I used to go, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a day. So that was kind of, you know, with the influence of, you know, carbohydrates and the influence of just some junk food here and there. Like, it seemed like I was always in the bathroom, and now it's super convenient because I don't have to sit on the toilet all day long. You guys are very obsessed with poop today. I'm noticing a trend. When are you and your brother going to be on Rogan? I would say within the month. I'll just put it out there. I said it right here, so now it's going to happen within the next 4 weeks. How about that? Rugby specific training. You know, I'm not a huge fan of sports specific training, but rugby does have certain requirements. What I would look for, what I'd look into for an athlete are what are some of the general things that you need. You know, rugby, there's a good amount of running in there, so you know, part of strength and conditioning and part of being strong in your sport is to be conditioned enough. If you're not conditioned enough, you're going to be very weak, and you're going to be trash, and you're going to get your ass kicked. So you want to make sure that you have good conditioning. So you're going to have to work on sprints. You're going to have to work on running. You're going to have to increase your conditioning by quite a bit. So having some CrossFit workout type stuff, Metcon stuff, after you've done some strength training would really be a huge thing. And doing some strongman stuff, tire flips, farmer's carries, pushing a sled, that'll be very like specific towards that sport. But I don't like too much of that stuff because the sport itself is the specificity, is the specifics of everything, right? And when we go in the gym, all you're trying to do is you're just trying to make yourself stronger. So make yourself strong and then go play your sport, and try not to think of weird, wacky ways to transition your sport into the weight room. D. Munn says, what do you think of beef jerky as a snack on the carnivore diet? Not a good idea. No snacks. You want to be in good shape? Don't eat snacks. Pretty simple. You want to be in good shape? Don't eat snacks, don't eat dessert, and don't eat fried food. Snacks, dessert, fried food. Next thing after that would be bread, you know. And there's not a problem with bread. You could eat bread every day if you paid attention to what you put on it. But a lot of times, what are you going to put on bread? What are you going to put on a bagel, you know? You're always going to put something on bread, a bunch of butter. So now we got carbs and protein together, and you're going to be able to eat a large amount of that. I remember when I used to eat like a normal person here and there, and I would eat like, I don't know, 2 loaves of bread and you know, a stick of butter, it seemed like, before my food even came out. And then I would barely eat my food, so it ruins you times 2. You know, when you eat poorly, it's a double negative. It's 2 steps backwards, because you not only have eaten something that's not good for you, and you probably have a large influence of a large amount of a bolus of calories, but then you also took up space for otherwise more nutritious food that your body actually needs. So you fill yourself up with macronutrients, but then you're missing out on micronutrients, and then you end up having cravings, you end up having all kinds of different issues with your hunger and with your sleep, and it just keeps rolling over and over and over. It's a cyclical thing that just ends up being super disruptive to your life, and it can kind of forever tangle up your life. Coming to Davis, how do I come train at ST? 855 Riverside Parkway, suite number 10. Every Saturday and Sunday the gym is free. We're open from 9 to 1. Come on down. What's your weekend routine? Weekend routine is the same as during the week. Keep kicking some ass. You know, I always have something going on every weekend. Sometimes it's stuff with the family, and sometimes it's stuff to work on improving myself. This weekend it's more like me working on improving myself, because I'm going to a summit for CrossFit, learning more about nutrition, learning more about low carb dieting, and I'm going to a conference that is on Super Bowl Sunday. So for the first time in my life, I'm going to miss the Super Bowl. But nothing is more important than advancing my education, and nothing is more important for me to get around the people that I want to get around, and the people that I want to learn from. So, I'm going to go to, seminars like this and workshops like this and learn from the best, and I don't care what day it's on, I'm going to make sure that I can get there. Do you ever have any cheat meals? What are your thoughts on cheat meals? Cheat meals are like a crack in your windshield from a rock on the freeway. That's what a cheat meal is. You ever get a crack in your windshield? You ever get a little dent on your windshield from a small little pebble hitting your windshield, and you don't think much of it, but you know what? At some point, that little crack in your windshield is going to splinter out, and one day you'll have to pay the price for it. I feel the same way with a cheat meal. I think sometimes the cheat meal is done at an inappropriate time, not at the best timing of it, and because of that, I think that it leads the mind to continue to wander, and it can lead you to ending up getting out of control. The real key to dieting, the real key to nutrition, the key to dieting is to not diet. You don't want to die while you're dieting. You don't want to be kind of hanging on by a thread. If you fast too much and you fast too often, you're going to pay the price, because you're going to be hungry. If you lost 10 pounds, your body still remembers that you were 10 pounds heavier. Your body wants that energy back. Burning body fat is a very natural process, but it's also a process where your body's like, yo, I don't know how long you're going to be keeping up this charade of this diet, but it doesn't seem like a very good idea. Your body doesn't really want to go through that process for a very long time, and when you start to do it for too long, your body's like, hey man, are you ever going to feed me the way that you used to again? What happened? Are we not getting along? Are we not friends anymore? And so that's when the cheat meals will start to kind of creep into your head. And so the best way to get around those is to continue to feed yourself. You want to feed yourself and feed yourself and feed yourself. And if you need to stuff yourself to do so, that would be just fine. So rather than a cheat meal, what I would advise is taking 2 or 3 days off of your actual diet plan and just bringing in a nice influence of more calories. Just double up on your calories for a good 3 days. Now this is if you have been eating healthy. You've been eating on your plan very strictly for 3 weeks or something like that. That's when you'd want to do this. Just go 3 days, go gangbusters, and eat as much of the foods that are on your nutrition plan as you possibly can. If it's me, then it's a lot of eggs, a lot of steak, a lot of butter. Just keep smashing it. If you have a sweet tooth, have a Slingshot protein shake and some heavy whipping cream. That'll stuff down that hunger. Or mix up some yogurt with some Slingshot protein. It's freaking awesome. Figure out a way. The other option too is to get some keto treats, get some keto meals. Try to think about what's something keto that I can make that's still not way off the rails. It's still not way off plan. Yes, it's a big influence of calories, but it's not huge influence of carbohydrates. You're still going to be about on the same plan. You're not going off the rails. You're still staying very attached to what you're trying to do. So, Handsome Ron, that's my thoughts on cheat meal. Longest you fasted, I was going to try a 48-hour fast. Any recommendations? Longest I've fasted so far is 72 hours. And I think sometime in this month, I think I will do a big fast again, but I think also February is going to be a time for some growth. I think I'm going to look into eating as much food as I can and see how the body responds to eating a lot of food. It's something I'm excited to do. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm going to bring in some dairy. I'm going to eat some of that, and I really want to just kind of double up on the amount of food I've been eating. Juicy John 36, thanks for the question, buddy. Really appreciate it. Ant True, you guys always have these kind of hard names to say. Did you get that fat on purpose in your past? Yeah, kind of. I kind of did get fat on purpose because I was powerlifting. I went from I went from the 220 pound weight class. I went to the Arnold Classic. I went to the Arnold Classic. I saw people thriving, and I started noticing. I was like, I'm about 6 feet tall. These other guys that are 6 feet tall, they're not in the 220 pound weight class. They were in the 242 weight class, the 275 weight class, the 308 weight class, and or the super heavyweight class. So I was like, I need to pack on some weight. And I also met Louis Simmons, and Louis Simmons told me, Smelly, you need to gain 100 pounds. He's got a high-pitched voice, and that's pretty much the exact way that he said it, and that's exactly what I did. Gained 110 pounds to be exact, and weighed 330 pounds at one point. Just packed it on and packed it on and packed it on, and I kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And then at one point I started getting kind of addicted, not kind of addicted, I got addicted to food, and it became very hard to pull myself out of that rut. It was very difficult. And so I guess I got big intentionally, and then it was like, well, now you're just kind of fat for no reason. And I got to a point where I wasn't getting any stronger, I was just getting fatter, and that wasn't good. And then, you know, what can happen there too is your body can kind of flip-flop on you. Your metabolism can really take a turn for the worse, because you can end up with you can really end up like kind of like losing muscle mass because you're not eating correctly. You could lose muscle mass and continue to gain body fat, and that is a really horrible swing. And then so getting out of that and getting away from all that was really, really brutal. It all started for me with a paleo diet, cruising on into kind of a keto style diet, and then cruising on into carnivore and fasting, which is what I do now. I'm going to be utilizing this carnivore diet for the rest of my life in some fashion. I will probably go in and out of doing a keto diet because there's more options, and I will go in and out of doing a keto diet, mixing back in with a carnivore diet. I don't really care about vegetables that much. I don't really enjoy them. For me, I haven't noticed anything negative from not eating them, but you know, keep in mind I've only been doing this style of diet for about 3 years, so there's a lot more. I need to, I still need to learn a lot more about everything. But yeah, it all kind of got kicked off with a paleo diet. And I guess to answer your question specifically, yes, I got fat on purpose, because I knew that being big and having just a huge body would allow me to handle huge weights. Do you think it's necessary to do cardio in order to get lean? You know what? So I do some forms of cardio. I do some sprints here and there. I've been doing a lot of run walks. I used to call them a walk run because I used to walk more than I ran. Well, now hold on, I got a call from my brother. I had to shut that down there. We got to stay live here. I'm running more than I'm walking, so I call it a run walk now. But everything's feeling really, really good. And to answer your question, no, I don't think you need to do cardiovascular training at all to get lean. However, it can really help. But I would only utilize cardiovascular training for when you already have your diet intact. If your diet's not there, then you're kind of wasting your time. But some cardiovascular training, some light cardiovascular training, is a very, very healthy habit to keep some of it in pretty much your entire life. I mean, why not? We lift weights every day, almost 4 or 5 days a week, a lot of us. Why not implement at least some type of cardiovascular training? It could be as simple as going on those 10-minute walks. That's a great place to start, and then maybe you can progress onward from there. But if you're trying to get really shredded, I do think that cardio training can help a lot, and I would suggest that you do about 30 to 45 minutes, about 4 days a week. But again, you're going to be really wasting your time if your nutrition. You cannot out-train a bad diet. It's impossible. You can't. You just don't have the ability to. There's too many influences of negative, shitty food around all the time. So thanks for the question, Martin Yago. Have you had your blood work done on the carnivore diet? Yes, I've had my blood work done a lot of times, and I've actually just shared my blood work, and it will also be on our YouTube channel, which is Mark Smelly Bell. Please refer to that. Please also check out my podcast, which is Mark Bell's Power Project. You're going to want to check that out. We just did a podcast that was just rip-roaring, amazing. We turned it into 4 parts. It's with Sean Baker and Dr. Paul Saladino. And it's going to blow your mind, the information that's on there. But it talks about how the carnivore diet is not dangerous for the environment. It's not dangerous for the planet in any way, shape, or form. And Paul Saladino has all the information on there. A lot of the information that you're hearing is really just, it's really false, and it's a huge misunderstanding. But there are sustainable ways to have a lower impact with the cattle. There's some impact, right? But cattle and cows and all these different things, they are not new negative influences on the environment. They are old, and they have been around for a long time. And I realize there might be more farms. I realize there might be more farms popping up here and there, but again, it's still emissions that the planet has been used to. But what is new emissions is coming from our cars and coming from our transportation. I think it's like 80%. So that's where the focus mainly should be. I think some of the stuff from cattle and from cows and from meat has been very, very much overblown. I think it might represent like 1% or 2%. And even then, there's still things that we can do, that we can implement to still even make that even better if we wanted to. So that would be great if we started to move in that direction, because no one wants to destroy this planet. It's a beautiful place to be, right? And I've had a bunch of blood work done, and Paul Saladino and Dr. Baker, they actually go over my blood. We talk in depth about cholesterol. We talk in depth about heart disease, triglycerides. We talk in depth about HDL, LDL. We go over it all. And they talk even about some other things that came up with my blood work. But yeah, my blood work's been good. My blood work has been great. Vegan on roids, is that healthy? I don't know. I don't think that, I don't have any problem with people following a vegan diet. I ran into another guy today, one of our new photographers, and he's a vegan. And I asked him, I was like, do you eat any eggs? Do you eat any fish? He doesn't eat any of these things. But he said he's been feeling awesome. Who am I to kind of come in and say, no, that ain't true, bro. Like, you're feeling different than what you're saying. You're lying. I just don't know why I would do that. I don't have any issues with people that want to do a vegan diet. However, if you ask my honest opinion about it, I don't feel that it's a safe diet. I don't think that it's a very healthy diet. I think you may have to go out of your way too much to do too many other things to make a vegan diet work. So then therefore, it doesn't make that much sense to me. But I am not a know-it-all. I don't know it all. I'm not a god. I'm not a doctor. There's a lot of things that I'm not, right? But I do know just some standard information, some general information about nutrition. And to me, it really doesn't make sense to think that our body was really designed to only live off of vegetables. I think the body can only live off of vegetables, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that we were designed to live mainly off of meat, and there was times from an ancestral standpoint where it may have been you may have been able to get more things than just meat. And that might have been a wonderful time of year. It might have been spring, it might have been summer. You might have been able to get some vegetables. You might have been able to get some fruit. But, to try to live off that stuff by itself, I don't think it's smart. But I don't disagree with it. If somebody wants to do that for health reasons, somebody wants to do that because they don't think it's right to kill animals, then I'm all for it. Whatever way that you can get through each and every day feeling really good and looking forward to the next day, you're on the right track. Do you train in phases for strength, hypertrophy? This is a great question. Do I train in phases? Everything I do is in phases. Everything I do is in stages. And it's all been that way since the beginning. It's been that way from the very beginning, since I've started everything. And we get questions a lot about, like, how do you get started on something, and how do you how are you able to do this, and how are you able to do that? Well, it's able to do all these things because it's been done in stages. It's been done in phases. And if I want to train for strength, even when I was training to squat 1,000 pounds, it was something that I would go after for a while. And as soon as I got a bunch of pushback from it, I got too much pushback, not from anybody in society or anything, but I got too much pushback from my own body. I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work out. Mosquitoes trying to get me. I was like, this isn't gonna work out, so I need to think about doing something different or do something else. I do the same thing with my diet. Recently, I was like, you know what? I'm going to lower the fat calories. I'm going to end World Carnivore Month by being totally shredded. And as soon as I started to try to lower the fat, my body was like, no way. Like, you're not doing this. You're not doing this at the moment. And I could feel it. It didn't feel right to me. So it's like, you know what? Why put all that pressure on myself? Why, these things can lead to injury, and these things can lead to you going backwards. I don't ever want to go backwards. I always want to move forward. But sometimes the only way to go forward is to take 2 steps backwards. You ever see a running back, get a ball pitched out to him and he goes to go around the outside, but the defensive end is right there in his face right away? What does he do? Sometimes he runs backwards, right? And you're like, what is he doing? Well, sometimes you got to go backwards in order to go forward a little bit. But the ground that you're going to gain just from going backwards a tiny bit is going to be exponentially greater than how much further backwards you would go if you forced something that wasn't there. So be careful with that and really pay attention to that. And it's important to do things in phases and stages. And if you want to learn more about that, go over to markbell.com. That site is live. We already have 300 people on the website. 300 people subscribed pretty much in a 24-hour period, which I got to be honest, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, I think about 150 people will sign up, and it's been double. It's been double that, and the responses have been great. The comments have been great. It is a pay site, so I was like, I don't know, I don't know who's going to go for this, because Mark Smelly Bell is known for giving you guys stuff for free. My gym is free. You can come to SuperTraining Gym anytime you want. It's free on the weekends. You can come in whenever from wherever. And also all my content has always been free. So I was like, I don't know who's going to go for this. But if you want to learn more and see all these different phases and things that I do and learn more about that, you can go there. You can also get my book, Jacked and Tan, off of MarkBellSlingshot.com. I'm not trying to sell you guys stuff that I don't think provides value to you. These are all things that will provide tremendous value to you. But some of these questions are just, they're longer conversations, and it's easier to explain in a book. That book took me about 3.5 years to write, so a lot of time and effort has gone into it. And it's the best book written on training. I mean, not necessarily from a strength coach standpoint. There are smarter people that have executed some really brilliant books, so I wouldn't put it in that category. But in terms of being able to pitch something out to laymen and be able to pitch something out to intermediate lifters and even some advanced lifters, I mean, there's information there that goes back and talks to you about how I benched 854 pounds, how I squatted 1,080, how I benched 578 raw. All the information is in there, so you definitely want to check out some of that stuff. One more thing on that, one more thing with training is I train I like to train like three different ways, 3 different ways within one training session. So I might start out with power and power lifting, and then I might migrate into hypertrophy stuff, bodybuilding stuff. So I might do 3 to 5 reps on the first thing, and the first movement might be a main movement. It might be a floor press, or it might be an incline bench, or it might be a squat, and it's going to be something done heavy. It could be a deadlift. And then the next movement is going to be something that lends itself and allows you to maybe isolate the muscle a little bit more. So an example would be, I may go from doing a floor press to doing an incline dumbbell bench, get a little more isolation, tap into the chest a little bit more. And then after that, I like to finish workouts with conditioning. Sometimes it's kind of like more bodybuilding conditioning and shaping, and sometimes it's conditioning, like HIIT training, CrossFit style workout, a walk run, pushing a sled till you puke, those kinds of things. So this guy's asking, Ricky Riquez, I believe his name is. He said, when did you know it was time to basically open up your own strength and conditioning facility? I've always wanted to do it, man. I've been talking about opening a gym for 30 years. I'm 43, so I've been talking about it since I was very, very young. And it's out of all the things, like out of all the dreams come true moments I've had in my life with some of the big weights and some of the financial gain and some of these things, that has been probably the single coolest thing that has happened. It's been just the ability to have my own gym has been really awesome, and having SuperTraining Gym has been a huge blessing. and it's been amazing, and I feel wonderful about it. When I go in there on a Saturday and I see, you know, kind of the old salty dogs that have been at SuperTraining for a long time, that makes me feel really good. But when I see some new people that are in there that have never experienced it before, that is a wonderful feeling. I see someone get a PR in there, that's an amazing feeling. It's all pretty, it's all like, I don't know, it's kind of weird in some ways. I'm like, oh shit, like these people all have met because of me. Like that's really a weird thing to think about. You know, fostering that kind of environment has been really cool. It's been challenging at times too, but it's been amazing. So I've always known that I've wanted to open up a gym. How did I decide to actually go forth and open the gym? I just went and I did it. I'm a doer. You know, I do think about stuff quite a bit, but I'm not gonna really block myself with my thoughts. I'm able to drown out the sound. You got to drown out all the noise. There's just a lot of noise out there that can, and a lot of times it's your own noise. A lot of times it's your inner dialogue saying, oh, that's not for me, or I don't have money, that's not time for me to do that yet. There's never a good time. You know, there's never a better time than right now, right? And that's what you want to try to figure out how to do it. You know, you can think about this quote. This is a great one. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now, right? So you could think to yourself in those terms about opening a gym, starting an invention, you know, and you can kind of get down on yourself, oh man, I wish I did that. But remember, the second best time is right now. So you still got an opportunity to still put up those points on the scoreboard. You still got an opportunity to go out there and get these things done. And if you've been thinking about opening a gym, figure out a way to make it happen. Be resourceful. You know, I don't mind, like, you know, bragging about myself here and there, but if I was to say like I'm good at any one in particular thing, I actually don't think I'm that good at a lot of things. I think that the one thing I am good at is I'm good at being resourceful, and I'm good at thinking about, oh, who do I know? You know, who do I know who's done this? Who do I know who's done that? And then I just go ask them a bunch of questions. So I think a key component to life is really being a good asker, being somebody that's good at asking questions, and also the ability and the skill to be giving, because when you're giving, you will be receiving a lot. So that's another key component. Those two things go hand in hand. I can communicate with anyone right now on just about anything. I could just have an idea that I want to open a coffee shop, and as I sit here at Phil's Coffee, I know Jacob Jabber, who owns Phil's Coffee. He's the founder of it. If I wanted to start a CrossFit gym, I know Greg Glassman. I could communicate with him. In the way that I've been able to know these people, in the way that I've been able to kind of climb this, like, I guess, social ladder, we'll call it, has been through giving, and has been through asking good questions. And the reason why, you know, I got the CrossFit CEO on speed dial is because I used to do work for CrossFit HQ. I used to be a coach for them. I used to teach them how to power lift. So, you know, these are all things that you definitely want to look at and consider. Who in your lifeline, who's around that can help? Who's around that can help you with your diet? Who's around that can help you with your training? Who's around that can help you start up this new gym? Who is around that can help you with this podcast? You know, who are these resources that you have? You can DM a lot of people. You know, you might DM me, you might not get a response, but you can DM other people too, and you will eventually get a response from somebody, and they will help and they will assist you, and then you'll be on your way to starting that next new thing. How many calories for mass? This guy's asking if he should eat, you know, try a 5,000 calorie a day carnivore diet. Yeah, you know, all you can do is just give things a try. You know, give it a shot and see how your body responds to it. There's no magical amount of food that's going to result in one person gaining weight versus another person losing weight. I'm not a huge proponent of calories. I don't think you should bother to count them. And so I would just eat, you know, and I would just weigh yourself. You know, if you're going to measure anything, measure your success, measure your results. But I wouldn't bother too much with weighing stuff. I really do kind of think it's a waste of time. But I would just weigh yourself. Weigh yourself every day, and if you're gaining weight, then you know it's working. If you're not gaining weight, you need to eat more. It's really about consistency, because if you're not, you need to eat a lot every day. You know, that's kind of the hard part. You need to eat a lot every single day. Have you ever kept track of your macros? Yeah, during my bodybuilding show, a little bit. Hani Rambad, who assisted me, he wanted me to do that. And so I didn't really do it for that long. I would do it occasionally on one day to the next, but I didn't like doing it. And then what I ended up doing is I ended up just buying things that were in automatic serving sizes, so I didn't have to count or weigh anything. And I'm not someone that believes that you can even get fat off of protein, so you know, I would just eat whatever amount of protein I wanted with each meal. However, when it came to like steak, I would have to have either a leaner steak or to have to eat a little bit less of it. But no, I never really messed with it. I just would pick a potato and I was like, that potato looks like it's about the right size, I'm gonna eat that one. It's about 75 grams of carbs. And that way, you know, it takes away the headache of weighing anything. And then rice, I just found like rice, I like it too much and I just want to eat too much of it. So that was kind of hard. And then with something like fruit, I would just kind of eat kind of minor amounts of it. It's usually before or after a training session. And then like oatmeal, it's like how much oatmeal you're really going to eat, right? A lot of these healthy carbs, they're not really that negative. You know, you can only do so much with them. They just don't taste that great. Like they're okay, but when you can't put fat on them, they're not that great. I mean, carbohydrates, you know, a baked potato, like good luck eating a baked potato. That sucker's kind of hard to eat, right? It's very difficult, it's very dry. It takes a lot to be able to wolf down. You know, you could have a baked potato and steak. And, you know, you can be smashing that kind of stuff all day if you have kind of a leaner steak and you're only going to eat so much. If you have a fattier steak, it'd probably be easier to eat both things because the two would work in combination with each other. And that's where mixing fats and carbohydrates can be dangerous, not because there's any weird magical thing that would happen from eating the two at the same time. The body's well conditioned and well designed to handle both things. However, it starts to kind of override your pathways in your brain of recognizing when you're satiated, and you know, it kind of overrides your ability to kind of like recognize how much you've eaten. Because when you start to mix two ingredients together or more, start to mix multiple ingredients together, or you know, then it gets to be super easy to eat a lot of food. And that's the biggest issue with any carbohydrates, is that there's a lot of processed carbohydrates, cookies, Doritos, potato chips, all these things. They have like salt, they have fat in them. Even a cookie has like a lot of salt in it. It has. Somebody said, "Will you ever stop being a bitch and start eating bread again?" Yeah, I'm gonna eat some bread for sure. I'm gonna eat some like pizza and stuff like that. Absolutely. Like I love living my life, you know, and I think maybe that's something that has separated out myself from maybe some of the other people you might see in fitness that have maintained a good shape. Is not that they don't share the same message, but I think I've showed you guys repeatedly, time and time again, through the vlog that I have on my YouTube channel, which you want to go check that out. That's Mark Smelly Bell on YouTube. We have over 100 videos on there, and we've only been going for like 2.5 months or so. So that has been massive. That has been huge, and I would really love and appreciate you guys continuing to check that information out over there, because I'm showing you like I'm not just saying stuff. I'm actually showing you like how these things are happening. I'm showing you how these things are getting done. Thanks you so much again for following along. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you all later.